Yesterday, I listened for several hours of 3 United States presidents who do not know Jesse Jackson. He maintained a tense relationship with the political order, not because the presidents were white or black, but the demands of our message, the demands of speaking for the least of these, those who were disinherited, the damned, the dispossessed, the disrespected, demanded not Democratic or Republican solutions, but demanded a consistent, prophetic voice that at no point in time ever sold us out as a people. And it speaks volumes about who the Reverend Jesse Jackson was.
So this is, I'm not going to play the whole 18 minutes, but this is basically essentially what he, said.
It was great. And it's right, exactly on point. Jackson was not close to any of them. Clinton was a factor to be dealt with because he was and is who he is. Obama's the one that the open mic caught Reverend Jackson saying he needs his balls cut off for telling a lie, an absolute lie, about black men being the worst in the country, about paying child support. And Reverend Jackson and I had sat next to each other on an airplane for 3.5 hours discussing the fact that he was aware of, I was aware of, and everybody else that keeps the records and looks at them is aware of. Black American males pay their child support better than any other demographic. And they, at this man's funeral, said very little to nothing about him.
Mm-hmm.
And they badmouthed someone, Donald Trump, who had done him many a favor in the past, and on whom he had an up and down relationship with, but at least the man had done something for him in life other than the others who pimped him. And then I guess we've got Chicken George Al Sharpton who comes in there. He wasn't the worst, but I think he's got a lifetime problem that he never caught up to where Jesse Jackson was. And then we've got that fake Kamala Imhoff, a.k.a. Kamala Harris. That's her maiden but not married name. She just went overboard on trying to assume and usurp something she had little connection with, except remotely, and that's been her life. So it was, I'll say, unsettling, because if I expressed what I'm really thinking, it'd be rather profane.
So let me just say, I predicted a lot about what's happening right now. I'm not into saying I told you so, but we did see it coming. But what I did not predict is that we would not have Jesse Jackson with us right now to help us get through this.
That was her. I'm not going to play the full.
Oh, that is disgusting. It has to be about her. She usurped Jesse Jackson like she usurped black folk. She's an Indian. By the way, that's what they're calling her again. Nothing wrong with Indians, but...
It was on a wintry night, January 6, 1919. Theodore Roosevelt died of an embolism coronary. When the word came back to the Vice President Meslin, he asked, how did he die? The answer responded back, he died in his sleep.
Vice President Meslin said that makes sense because had he been awake, there would have been a fight. Jesse Jackson died in the middle of the night because had he been awake, there would have been a fight. Ladies and gentlemen, we are here because this is the first modern prophet in American history to prove to be bulletproof. This is the very first prophet that the government could not compromise and was able to stand. Those of you who are wondering why we have been here this long, the service wouldn't have been this long if we were able to go to the Capitol, but the Capitol is now only reserved for pedophiles and podcasters. We're in a critical moment in history. A critical moment in history where it is that we have to figure out what are we fighting for and all that we're running for.
So he's upset that Mike Johnson did not allow Jesse Jackson to, what do you call that, lay in state at the Capitol. He
should be.
You saying he should have?
He should be upset that Johnson didn't let him use the Capitol. And he gave an apt description of the people that blocked it. It wasn't President Trump who helped Jackson out and supplied his headquarters for him free of charge on quite a few occasions. It was that Democrat leaning person who was wrong with what he did.
Who?
The people that blocked Jesse from being
Laying state at the Capitol.
laying state at the Capitol.
I thought that it's only reserved for politicians.
No, it's not.
Okay. Well, my thing is, I'm kind of glad it did not happen because you had these people come up there making it political. So if he would have laid in state, that the whole thing would have been about anti-Trump, and it should be about his deeds.
Well, what usually happens is when somebody lies in state in a federal building, you have it well guarded, well ordered. You have the military there who are serving as the ushers, and they have their no-nonsense approach of how people move and where they're supposed to be. And if there are any remarks, they come later or in the chambers, maybe, of the particular governmental entity. It just wasn't right what they did with him. And I will say this, he wasn't exactly bulletproof, because part of the reason some of the woke crowd doesn't like him now was revealed in some of the memoranda that were in the James Earl Ray file in the case that I presided over, his last appeal. And it revealed internal FBI memoranda where they were discussing at great length how they would discredit the Reverend Jesse Jackson because they were worried about him becoming the new Martin Luther King for an altered social dynamic.
Mm-hmm. Well, they
apparently succeeded because people think he's the villain. I'll say this, is the last judge on that James Earl Ray case, and that's the alleged assassin of Dr. Martin Luther King. Ray, one, didn't shoot King. Something else went on. And two, Jesse Jackson had absolutely nothing to do with it. I can state that without equivocation for the record.
I want to play this Obama clip. I'm not going to play the whole thing either with this one, but just a sense. And by the way, when I'm not going to play the clip when he was introducing, he gets up there and, oh my God, those black people that's really on that Democrat plantation was hooping and hollering and somebody yelling out 4 more years. And he's like, no, I respect the Constitution. He get on my nerves.
We are living in a time when it can be hard to hope. Each day we wake up to some new assault on our democratic institutions. another setback to the idea of the rule of law. An offense to common decency. Every day you wake up to things you just didn't think were possible. Each day we're told by those in high office to fear each other and to turn on each other, and that some Americans count more than others.
Can you stop it right there?
Don't even count at all.
Doesn't that sound just like what Biden and Harris and then Obama and Biden were running down during the entirety of their holding the Oval Office and the observatory?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you're talking about yourself, and what are you doing at a funeral where the deceased said you need your balls cut off for being a lying charlatan on an open mic?
Well, the same day after this celebration, Friday, because this took place Friday, he went on his X account and made an announcement that, hey guys, the Obama Library will be opening June the 16th in Chicago of this year. So he basically was using that opportunity to promote his BS library and be anti-Trump.
These Democrats are taking everything that a lot of noble black folk did when they were mostly Republican when they did it and trying to convert it to their use, like they want to assume the mantle of dignity and righteousness that these pioneers had when they were dealing with real apartheid in the United States. Now let's see what Bozo's got to say.
This is only 42 seconds here.
Good.
Well, I was a kid. I was a relatively good athlete, a pretty good student, but I stuttered to talk like that. Now, if I told you all earlier when I was a kid I had a cleft palate or a club foot, none of you would have laughed. But it's okay to laugh at stuttering. I'm not being critical of you, but think about it. It's the one place where people think you're stupid. Oh, really? I'm a hell of a lot smarter than most of you. But all kidding aside, it makes you feel really small. Makes you feel really small.
Put your hands together for the three presidents. President Bill Clinton, President Joe Biden, and the Southside's own President Barack Obama.
Oh, they
First
claim it
thing I
now.
want to do is ask that we would all put our hands together and celebrate the Jackson family. Come on.
The head of it
giving us
asked you not to do
Jackson.
that, and you did it anyway. That's just plain low down. And now, where's Chicken George?
Is it here? Oh, no, it's
Chicken George was a character in one of Alex Haley's renditions of Roots. In case you don't know.
Chicken George bought his freedom in Roots.
Maybe.
To leave here and not follow an assignment would not be what Jesse Jackson taught us. But people at the same time are killing illegal immigrants. People at the same time cutting public funding. At the same time, Affordable Care Act is not being renewed and seniors have to deal with premiums. Well, here we are now. The problem is
Stop a second. Stop a second. These folk he's talking about are getting mistreated and taking jobs from folk that look like some of the people in the audience. They are about to go pull off 911 2.0. They're bringing in organized crime. What we're talking about is a perpetual addiction of the people who look like most of the people in that audience to welfare assistance instead of learning about free enterprise and going out and doing hard work. So just what is this fool complaining about?
Right.
You're talking about oh, they got all the power, we can't win. We got to win because they put the seeds of victory in us. If we just nurture them and grow, Hakeem Jeffries be the Speaker of the House. If we keep on winning.
Stop. The thought of that makes me want to vomit.
Send it back. If we keep winning, we can save health care for our grandmamas. If we keep winning, we can bring up.
Stop. These lying dogs here through the Biden administration, before that, Obama's administration, where he fronted off something somebody else did, have got me paying $14,800 a year for Medicare. Now, that is obscene. I was paying $1,672 for a group plan with a major medical insurance company, which would have been cheaper if it had been with a major insurance company that didn't specialize in medical insurance. You're a ripoff artist, asshole.
About criminal justice reform. If we keep winning, we can have two.
Oh, stop. Criminal justice reform. What? You have the highest crime rate in the history of this country inside the inner city that your blue ball folk run because you're incompetent with your main task of delivering safe governance and a crime-free area filled with prosperity, purpose, law and order, dignity, morality, and ethics. And you can't do it.
Right.
The Congress, we didn't come this far to turn around now. But they getting ready to celebrate the 250th anniversary of the country. But we were not free in 1776. It is not our celebration. We got here in 1619. We worked 246 years.
Stop a second. Crispus Attucks, one of the first persons to die in the American Revolution. A lot of American black folk fought with nobility, purpose, and achieved their freedom fighting in that revolution. There have always been black soldiers and sailors in the United States military services. You had the highest ranking officer in Colin Powell, chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff. You've got the Buffalo Soldiers, 761st Armored Regiment, 332nd Tuskegee Airmen, where they achieved excellence. They were at the top. 761st is the second highest decorated unit in the U.S. military history behind the Japanese sensei who had a division down in Italy. 332nd comes out of World War II, out of Europe, is the highest scoring Army Air Force pursuit group, fighter group. So the Buffalo Soldiers, 9th and 10th Cavalry, performed nobly. The black soldiers in the Civil War saved the Union, helped save it, and performed nobly. So exactly what is he talking about we have no stake in this country?
Got paid, but we are still here. I don't care what they do in Washington. I care what we do in the community. We beat people bigger than Trump. We fought people harder than them. If we
stop. Trump is a man. He pushes masculine dignity and masculine energy. You don't. And I've told you why I know he doesn't. We won't go into it, but let's just say that I resent this attack on masculinity, this girly boys in the girls' bathroom and the things that he's doing. I think it's bad for the country. If they practice it behind closed doors, that's First Amendment stuff. But other than that, okay, you need to take your little sissy program and go hide it someplace back in the shadows.
What we're supposed to be. Because of Jessie, the Democratic Party changed its rules, ending the winner-take-all distribution of delegates during presidential primaries, which meant underdogs and outsiders like Bill Clinton or Bernie Sanders could stay competitive and build momentum instead of getting knocked out early.
Stop. You're lying, because the bottom line is that super delegate thing knocked that concept all the way into the dugout somewhere. Mm-hmm. It's a foul ball, so quit lying about it. Keep
It
going.
was because of that path that he had laid, because of his courage, his audacity, that 2 decades later, a young black senator from Chicago's South Side would even be taken seriously as a candidate for the presidential
Stop.
Each day we were
Jack Johnson, Joe Louis, Muhammad Ali, they kicked ass. They were black folk who were crashing the door on what they did. Jackie Robinson stole home base with 2 outs and Dodgers behind 1 run and tied it up. They went on and got the pennant. He didn't go to the back of the bus in 1943 outside of a military base in Texas. When they attempted to make him, he pulled his 45 out, and according to the testimony at his court-martial, said some MF is going to die tonight besides me. You have all of these folk who really put it on the line, and you become the first one that looks like us to hold that Oval Office, and you didn't leave shit for a legacy. Just corruption, misdeeds, and trying to turn this country over to some people who need psychiatric assistance.
wake up to some new assault on each other, and that some Americans count more than others, and that some don't even count at all. Everywhere we see greed and bigotry being celebrated, and bullying and mockery masquerading as.
So I wanted to play a little bit more of. I found another video of Alex.
Why didn't they talk about this man's history instead of this nonsense?
Well, because they kept trying to lump it with today's politics, what's going on, and
the man's son asked him, "Please don't do that."
So this is
Rising to what he wanted us to be is the reason we are sitting on the brink of some of the most serious reconstruction behavior being rescinded that we've seen in modern times. To leave here and not follow an assignment would not be what Jesse Jackson taught us. To make us feel good, we went to Jesse Jackson's funeral, and that we said nice things about Mrs. Jackson, but people at the same time are killing illegal immigrants.
Yeah, we said that one.
He said, the point is they're killing us, fool. Are you a damn fool or just a fool, or pimp, pulpit pimp ass up there just trying to run a game?
But discipleship meant you carried forth the vision. The next day, he took me on the ferry to Goree Island, Mrs. Jackson, and on Goree Island, he showed me where the slave camps were. And I will never forget, he said, "Al, you see what that artifact is?" I said, "What's that?" He said, "They call it the door of no return. When you go through that door, you either made it to America to slavery, or you died in the Atlantic. The door of no return." But I talked to him about 3 years ago, and I reminded him, I said, "Remember when you brought me to the door of no return?" He said, "Yeah." I said, "Well, we did return. We returned the President of the United States, Barack Obama. We returned the Vice President, Kamala Harris. We returned with businessmen. They thought they sent us as slaves. We came back as global liberators. The problem is that too many of us did not join the movements that sponsored us. And there was a breakout in 2024 called Negro Amnesia, where you forgot where you came from and forgot how you got where you got. Therefore, they're trying to take back everything you have."
Oh, that's sickening. Not one iota about how you get from point A to point B. You're supposed to go back That old tired blue ball nonsense is revolting.
But here's the thing: Obama and Kamala Harris lineage never went through the door no return.
They had no connection at all, except, one of them's great grandparents fought as officers for the Confederacy to keep his ancestors enslaved. This fool and every other one represents a party that was founded to promote and spread slavery in the 1820s. The one he's talking about belongs to a party that in 1851 was chartered to end slavery and its evil influences. Interesting juxtaposition. It seems to me like the slaves off of the Democratic-run plantations back in the 1840s and 50s jumped in a time machine, got a little modernized, and here they are right now trying to justify loyalty to the masters, except it's not about King Cotton, it's about Queen Tranny Rainbow now.
Let me fast forward a little bit.
This far by faith, leaning on the Lord. Or they getting ready to celebrate the 250th anniversary of the country, but we were not free in 1776. It is not our celebration. We got here in 1619. We worked 246 years and never got paid, but we are still here.
And that's not true, because there were some people that weren't slaves who were here before 1619. That's when one of the English aristocrats brought a pirated load of Negroes, meaning slaves that some Spanish had been importing from Africa to the southern Spanish colonies.
Right.
By faith. It was against the law to read and write. It was against the law to marry.
Excuse me, stop. If it was against the law to learn to read and write under slavery, but at the end of the Civil War, Ulysses Grant, doing a survey of the Union Army, said that the only completely literate units in the Union Army were Negroes or black or colored volunteers, however you want to term it. Now, why is your party pushing a platform that makes the descendants of those folk completely ignorant, illiterate, and unaccomplished, and striving to get a welfare check? Not all of them, but too many of them.
By faith. I don't care what they do in Washington. I care what we do in the community. We beat people bigger than Trump.
Stop. And you're against law and order, and the number one cause of death outside of natural causes for black folk is us killing each other, and you don't want to do anything about that?
Right.
We fought people harder than them if we stand up and be what we're supposed to be. Private sector saying they're going to end diversity, equity, and inclusion. Sharp, we started Wall Street.
You didn't start Wall Street, fool.
Dealing with diversity.
We did that.
So you don't want
No, you didn't. Stop. Stop. And the point of the exercise right here is, how about if we talk about the policies you're trying to push and why you claim to be a preacher with no pulpit, but you seem to have now started to support what is preached against in, Leviticus 20:13. Explain yourself, you hypocrite.
Then don't have a diversified consumer base. So what I'm urging you to do is leave here with some Jackson fire in you. Not just a program book, but to say, I see the things the way they are, but I'm going to turn and change them. Have some Jackie Jackson fire saying, I'm going to raise my kids beyond your expectation.
All right, that's enough of that. He's full of
You
shit.
pimp. He's a pimp.
They're all pimps and hoes.
You said it this time.